back to the show. We're diving deep today into the future of the classroom with a creator of high-quality resources and a dedicated educational researcher.
That's right. We're moving past the one-size-fits-all model to explore evidence-based strategies that actually resonate with educators and students alike.
It's all about bridging the gap between complex research and practical everyday application.
Exactly. No fluff. Just high-impact insights for the modern academic landscape.
Welcome to Ed Resonance Talks. Let's tune into learning. Okay, so here's something wild. Only 30% of 8th graders in the U.S. are proficient in reading, and math scores have fallen to the most historic lows since 2019. It's like we're watching an entire generation hit a wall in middle school.
Oh, that's such a stark way to put it. But it's true. The middle school years are where everything seems to unravel. Motivation, academic performance, even basic engagement. It's what they're calling the engagement cliff, right?
Exactly. And it's not just a small dip, it's a steep drop-off. Engagement starts high in elementary school, with about 80% of kids feeling connected to their learning. By middle school, that number plummets to around 44 to 60%. And by high school, it's barely 33%.
That's such a massive decline. And it's not just about students losing interest. It's about what that disengagement does to their academic outcomes. If they're checking out in middle school, they're not building the skills they need for high school or beyond.
Right? And the timing couldn't be worse. The kids hitting middle school now were in those critical early grades during the pandemic, which means many of them already have foundational gaps in literacy and math.
And those gaps are hard to close once they're past that so-called learning to read phase. It's like the system assumes they've mastered the basics by 3rd grade, but for so many kids, that's just not the case.
That's one of the biggest myths in education, that literacy instruction stops after 3rd grade. The reality is, middle schoolers need just as much support, especially as they start tackling more complex texts in science, history, and math.
And it's not just about reading comprehension. It's about teaching them how to navigate the specific types of texts they encounter in different subjects. That's where disciplinary literacy comes in, right?
Exactly. Disciplinary literacy is all about teaching students to think, read, and write like experts in a particular field. So in science, they're learning to interpret data and analyze experiments. In history, they're evaluating sources and identifying bias.
That makes so much sense. It's not just about generic reading strategies. It's about understanding the unique ways each discipline communicates. And that kind of approach could make learning feel so much more relevant to students.
Relevance is key. One of the main reasons kids disengage in middle school is because they don't see the point of what they're learning. They crave autonomy and connection, but instead, they're stuck in rigid systems that prioritize standardized testing over meaningful learning.
And that rigidity doesn't just kill engagement, it also stifles creativity. Middle schoolers are at this incredible developmental stage where they're curious and full of energy, but the system doesn't really tap into that.
That's why some schools are looking to international models for inspiration. Take Estonia, for example. Their hobby school system lets students explore personal interests within the formal curriculum, and their engagement actually increases as they get older.
That's such a stark contrast to what we see here. It really shows that the engagement cliff isn't an inevitable part of adolescence. It's a systemic issue.
Exactly. And addressing it requires systemic solutions, not just quick fixes. One of the most promising approaches is structured literacy, which focuses on explicit, evidence-based reading instruction.
I've heard about that. It's not just for younger kids, right? It's about teaching older students the skills they need to decode complex texts, like multisyllabic words and technical vocabulary.
Right? And it's not just remedial. It's about giving all students the tools they need to access the curriculum, whether it's in science, history, or even math.
And that's where the multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS, comes in. It's a framework that provides different levels of support based on students' needs, from whole class strategies to small group interventions.
Exactly. It's about meeting students where they are and giving them the support they need to succeed. And when schools make literacy a school-wide priority, it creates a culture where reading is valued and celebrated.
That's such a powerful idea. It's not just about what happens in English class. It's about embedding literacy into every aspect of the school day.
And the same goes for math. The engagement cliff in math is arguably even steeper than in literacy, especially when students hit abstract concepts like algebra.
That's such a tough transition for so many kids. They go from concrete arithmetic to abstract reasoning, and if they don't have a strong foundation, it's easy to feel lost.
That's where frameworks like building thinking classrooms come in. It's all about shifting the focus from passive learning to active problem solving.
I love that approach. It's about getting students to collaborate, take risks, and really engage with the material. And by using tools like whiteboards and random groupings, it breaks down some of the social barriers that can hold kids back.
Exactly. And it's not just about engagement, it's about building the skills they need for algebra readiness, like operational fluency and conceptual understanding of rational numbers.
And making math feel relevant is so important. When students see how math applies to real-life situations, like calculating discounts or measuring ingredients, it becomes less intimidating and more accessible.
Scheduling plays a huge role in all of this. Traditional middle school schedules with short periods and constant transitions are a recipe for disengagement.
Block scheduling, on the other hand, allows for deeper dives into subjects. With 80 to 90-minute periods, there's time for extended small group instruction and hands-on projects.
And team-based models, where teachers share a smaller cohort of students, can strengthen relationships and create a more supportive environment.
It's all about maximizing instructional time while minimizing stress and transitions. A well-designed schedule can make or break these frameworks.
Technology is another piece of the puzzle. AI tools are making it easier for teachers to differentiate instruction, provide real-time feedback, and adapt lessons on the fly.
But there's a gap in adoption. While 94% of superintendents are excited about AI, only 53% of teachers feel the same. Professional development needs to be curriculum-specific to bridge that gap.
And let's not forget about digital tools that foster critical thinking, like InQITS for virtual science labs, or Kialo Edu for structured debates. These platforms make learning interactive and engaging.
It's clear that the engagement cliff isn't inevitable. With systemic literacy support, disciplinary apprenticeship, active mathematical thinking, optimized scheduling, and coherent technology integration, we can turn things around.
The challenge now is implementation. The research-backed solutions are there. It's about having the courage and commitment to put them into practice.
And it's not just about academics. It's about creating a learning environment that respects students' agency and recognizes their potential.
Because when we do that, middle school can become a launchpad for future success, rather than a site of disengagement.
Absolutely. The stakes are high, but so is the potential for transformation. It's an exciting time for education, and I'm hopeful we can rise to the challenge.
Me too. Here's to a future where every middle schooler feels engaged, supported, and ready to thrive. That's all the time we have for today's session. We hope these insights help you refine your approach and bring a little more resonance to your classroom.
Remember, the best resources are the ones that evolve with the research. Keep exploring, keep creating, and keep the conversation going.
For more high-quality materials and deep dives into educational research, visit us online at Ed Resonance Talks and check out our store on Teachers Pay Teachers.
Thanks for joining us today. Until next time, stay curious.
Thank you for tuning in to Ed Resonance Talks.